This is the Demystifying Mental Toughness podcast, hosted by David Charlton, and you're listening to this podcast to help you build your own mental toughness, so that you can support other people or your clients better. Either way, you will learn more about developing this plastic personality trait that all but guarantees that you will perform better and lead a more prosperous life. Hi, how's your week going? Have you taken in any of the World Cup? I certainly have done. If you have and you've got an interest in football, well, you may well be interested in this episode of the Demystifying Mental Toughness podcast. Now, today's episode, I'm going to answer a question. So this question is a regular one and it's posed by a parent. So the question was, my son is a goalkeeper, he's 14 years old, and he gets really grumpy the night before a match and very, very snappy because he's so nervous. How can I help him as a parent? Now, parents can often fear going there in case upsetting their child. They're a bit worried about talking about it. I suppose some parents might not be emotional, if you like. So some of the things I notice, sarcasm can actually come out in frustration at times because you just can't help settle your child. Now, I'd just be a bit wary of sarcasm. Also, be aware of your own stuff going on. You might be stressed about your work or your other child or different things going on. Now, that can have a big impact on the way that you communicate with your children. You might not want to hear the fact that they're stressed and worried about a match. After all, it's only a football match, isn't it? So, what I would really recommend you think about is the fun side. Really, you want football at that age to be fun. But it can get serious. It can get very, very competitive, I agree. So how can you just calm down the whole situation? If you think about it, if your son goes out following day and is calm, feels pretty good about themselves, it's going to give them the best possible opportunity to perform at their best. So how can you do that? Well, the night before the match, maybe if they are upset, if they are grumpy, you can try in a gentle voice discussing how they feel. Also, you want to try and think about giving them some space. Really, it's playing the role of a loving, supporting parent, not a coach, parent. So listen, use your ears an awful lot. Don't talk over them. Hug them. Provide that love, attention, and support. As I say, don't coach. Don't go into problem solving. Other than trying to help them find ways to relax, maybe the TV, or distracting them away from the football, away from the goalkeeping. Providing that emotional support and really trying to understand how they're feeling is going to help them in the long term. It might be that they're worried about making mistakes, about letting the team down, about the quality of the opposition, or even the size of the opposition. What other people think, or maybe there's a scout watching them. And often children, especially, can be worried about embarrassing themselves in those types of situations. Their expectations are set up to not make mistakes, which is totally unrealistic. So providing that love and reassurance to help them recognize, that mistakes do happen is also important. Helping them recognize that some sort of anxiety is actually a good thing, can help them prepare themselves for the match, for them to produce one of their best performances. So another thing I think I'd consider would be not at that time, not before the game, but midweek when they are calm, comfortable and relaxed. Think about it and have a discussion with your child about how they could actually just switch off and relax before a game. Perhaps encouraging them to go out with their friends, to go to the cinema, something like that. And, what you're trying to do here is encourage some sort of fun and relaxation for them not to take the build up to a game too seriously. Also, what I would consider here is some people, and I was guilty of it too when I was younger, they'll practice the evening before a game. They'll be in the garden and they'll be practicing, trying to hone those skills. They're aiming for perfection, essentially. And my question there is that practice actually really helpful? I really do question that. It's born out of anxiety, essentially. If you were a young goalkeeper and you completely trusted your skills, you were super confident, you probably wouldn't practice the night before. And let's be honest, practice the night before is a little bit like cramming for an exam, isn't it? It's not going to make a hap of the difference to the performance. So yeah, some food for thought there for you. I hope you've enjoyed this video, or if you've been listening to this, I hope you've got some little tips and some suggestions out of it. Also, what I'd encourage you to do is to sign up to the Conversations with Kids email list that I've got going. It's proving really, really popular with parents, where we explore different conversations that you can have with your children off the cuff, in the car, when things are quiet and chilled out. Essentially, what we're trying to do is improve your children's mental toughness bit by bit, without us as a sports psychologist actually getting involved. And it can also help improve their emotional flexibility. Until next time, have a great week. If you enjoyed this episode of the Demystifying Mental Toughness podcast with David Charlton, do check out my website, sport-excellence.co.uk, and my online sports psychology resources. The Sport-Excellence website has essential resources for anyone looking to build their own mental toughness, or the mental toughness of their athletes or teams, or if you want to achieve peak performance more often or optimal functioning. The Sport Excellence website has everything you need to keep moving forward and thrive. So go on, head over to sport-excellence.co.uk to find out more.